And there is a ton of research out there about the prevalence of microaggressions. I particularly am looking at what it impacts women of colour. Um, and very famously, many of you will be familiar with the Runnymede Trust and Fawcett Trust research that was published in 2022. You can see there. But there's also been more recent research than that. So I just pulled out one example from 2024, showing that 78%, that's more than three quarters of women of color experience weekly microaggressions at work. And that varies across industries. So the poll that I did earlier asking you about whether you'd experience microaggressions and the frequency of it, I think that is reflected in the fact that we had slightly different feedback. The thing I do want to point out is what microaggressions look like is changing. So when people first started becoming aware of the kind of prevalence of microaggressions, it was people saying things like, "Oh, you're just a diversity hire," or "Oh, yeah, I don't know." Can I touch your hair was the classic one when I first started working on EDI issues a few years back. That kind of stuff, those people who are perpetrators of microaggressions have learnt the language and therefore know what not to say in settings where they don't think people agree with them around their views about women, their views about people of color, their views about women of color. So what's happening is the research is showing is that the nature of microaggressions is changing. So now it's much more about, oh, well, I'm not sure you've got leadership potential. You don't really speak up at meetings, do you? Or yeah, or you're a bit bolshy. Leaders can't be bolshy, so we can't have that. Or the other classic one, you're not a culture fit for us in terms of what we're looking for in our organization or in this role or in leadership. So it's really important to realize that microaggressions aren't as overt as they were even 5 years ago. The nature of them have changed. So what you're looking out for in case of you're trying to understand whether people are behaving microaggressively towards you, it's changing. So the signals might be changing too. So that is a microaggression.